Today on Locked On Rockies, they make the hire, they make the change. Paul DePodesta is the new president of baseball operations for the Colorado Rockies. So what's it all mean?
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 10th day of November in the year 2025. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. If your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. And today, Paul DePodesta is the new president of baseball operations for the Colorado Rockies. We're reacting to it. We're breaking it all down. We're talking about it here on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much again for making us your first listen of the day. Hey, and guess what? You've made Locked On. Yes, you out there, all the great fans have made the Locked On Podcast Sports Network the #1 sports podcast network. So shout outs to all of our everydayers and all of our Locked On Rockies listeners helping with that. So before we dive any further, I want to let you know today that this episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. All right. So the news breaks last week. I'm traveling, of course. I know your folks were probably hoping for something on Friday. I was out of town traveling and such, but that's why we're giving you the an afternoon, Monday afternoon pod, and then either Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday morning. I got to figure out the rest of the schedule here for some other Rocky stuff and continued focus on this, which is huge. The hire the Rockies make. And you might have saw my initial reactions there, posting there before I hopped on the plane about not being very confident in the move, not being excited and enthused about the move, maybe in ways that I should be. And I wanted to highlight the fact that this is a guy that does have, a legacy of success, a legacy of analytics, a legacy. I was seeing some comments posting, hey, a team built on walks and home runs, something that is going to work really well at Coors. Okay, all fine and dandy. But I think my biggest takeaway from this isn't that it's not possible for this to turn around. I just think that this was the solution the team came to, not for the overall, this is the best person for the job to turn things around, because there's a lot of factors here. I think, listening and kind of absorbing some of the reaction and from some folks here, the length of time it would take to turn the Rockies around was certainly a concern for some of these candidates, and was certainly going to be part of the process, because the Rockies are not going to be a project that is going to be a quick turnaround. This required the Rockies finding someone that is going to want to stick around, because the thing that you can't do is just the constant churn and turmoil. You needed to find someone that you at least plan on being in this position for a while. And the Rockies have no problem extending, and giving people in these types of positions a lot of leeway, a lot of time to figure things out. I mean, Bill Schmidt was the GM for 4 years. And think about how long other GMs held their positions. Now, important that this to note here that DePodesta is the president of baseball ops, and it's being reported that he is going to be making other hires. So he's not necessarily he's going to be involved, but that doesn't mean he's going to be the GM. There are going to be other people in there. But I think the other big thing that kind of really soured me from some of the takeaways that I've seen and from this stuff is the people who were interested in the job, the people interviewing for the job, the people that have the recent baseball experience, worried about the control. It does not matter who's in this position until we have the reflection moment from Dick Monfort that he has to understand that his role and direct involvement in trying to force things to be done in his way has not been working. The evidence continues to mount and mount and mount. And I just was listening to a little bit of Nothing Personal with David Sampson there just to get, because, when people are talking about the Rockies on the national level, it'd be curious to see what they're saying. And it sounds like this move could also be a part of the upcoming labor fight with the CBA and what we're talking about, and trying to get that salary cap and salary floor. And if the focus for Dick Monfort right now is to just figure out how to make sure that he can get the votes that he wants to be able to push something that is not going to happen. They will not get a salary cap and they will not get a salary floor. It has not happened in baseball. It will not happen. There's as much as it's going to be the big narrative. And maybe I will be wrong, but I don't foresee that happening. But for what it seems like a little bit, for the motivation of the owner of the Rockies to just be this right here also, and it's not the only part. There's obviously hiring a new president of baseball operations does not mean, we're doing that just for the sole fact for our contract and other big picture behind the scenes fights. That's not, but it does just seem like the focus with this move wasn't necessarily finding the best baseball mind, the most eager to take on the project and to really fully let that person come in and tear it down and build it up in the new way. I do not think that Dick Monfort is truly prepared to relinquish the control from within the organization and relinquish the control. And I think that this, with DePodesta having a Dan O'Dowd connection, for this being a guy that was looking for their foot back into the door in the game of baseball, I think the Rockies settled here. And it's not to say that he can't bring ideas and he can't bring creativity and he can't bring he can't improve the Rockies. It's not fair to sit here and say that he can't, turn things around. But to have a guy for the option, for the best, for the Rockies to come to the conclusion that the best option to fix the team that is years and dollars and so far behind is to pick a guy that has not been in the game of baseball for a decade. And when you look at the overall baseball resume, as I was looking at listening to some reaction from Denver Sports, the track record post A's ain't all that good. And then the Cleveland Browns. And we have Browns fans on the YouTube short that I posted. You have Browns fans. You cannot sit here and say, yes, I'm feeling confident about a team that drastically needs to improve things, a team that has had a history of losing, a team that's had a history of bad ownership, a team that has had a history of getting in its own way. Let's bring in someone from the Browns to fix that. The same guy that was on the staff responsible for one of the worst, if not the worst, trade in NFL history. So now you're replacing a guy that just had one of the worst free agent acquisitions, the worst free agent acquisition in your franchise's history, most likely, when you're talking about lack of value and lack of performance for dollars spent. You now bring in a guy that literally harpooned the and it's not just him, obviously. There's more people there's more decision makers in that process. But you bring in a guy that's part of his legacy. Part of his legacy is a decade of losing. A decade. So the Rockies are replacing a guy and people in their organization that have spent the last decade losing with a guy that has spent the last decade losing. bad contracts, bad decisions. But the reason he's getting this job is because it's the foot in the door, and he's the one that told Dick, guess what? I don't need you to let me do everything else. Because when you had big baseball minds coming in there, the interviews probably said, we need to do everything differently. You are behind. You are losing. You are falling further and further and further behind. And unless you let me come in here and do the things I need to do, this team is not going to improve. But again, the stubbornness of the Monfort family says no, no, no. I don't care what the results have said. I don't care what our legacy is. I don't care what the last decade of Rockies baseball has been, nor the last 3 seasons. 7 straight losing seasons, 3 straight 100-loss seasons, the worst seasons of Rockies history happening back to 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 back. So instead of doubling down on innovation, instead of actually fully believing that this is the time, this is the moment, as you're going to be approaching a new era of baseball and whatever baseball looks like after the next contract agreements, you decide to bring in a guy that hasn't been in baseball for over a decade for a team that's already behind, and you bring in a guy that has spent the decade losing and a guy that has been a part of terrible deals and terrible evaluation. Remind me, who was playing quarterback for the Cleveland Browns before Deshaun Watson? Who's the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who has led their team to division titles, who has MVP votes and conversations? Oh, yeah, that's Baker Mayfield. That was the quarterback for the Browns. That was a guy they had in their system. That was a guy that they could have believed in, but they bailed on. So we have a guy coming from a badly run organization with a bad owner, and now he gets to come to a badly run organization with a bad owner. Why would I feel confident? Why would I like this move? He is 10 years behind. He can say, I'm Moneyball, I'm Jonah Hill, but he's 10 years behind, and that means the Rockies are 10 years behind the 8 ball even further. All right, folks, got to take a quick break here to let you know about our sponsors here, and that includes FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action other than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score the next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Yes, that's $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins at FanDuel. Head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We're also brought to you by Doer. I have a great pair of jeans and a really a shirt that I can't wait for coming in the mail from Doer. Really excited to see, because I have heard things, game-changing things. They got the performance denim slim straight fit and Cool Max technology that regulates your body temperature and wicks moisture. Can't wait to try them for myself. Doer jeans have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim. They're antibacterial, meaning your jeans stay fresh longer and you can wear them more and wash them less. Like I said, they got that Cool Max technology that keeps you cool and comfortable as the temperatures change. Doer combines classic jeans wear style with the kind of comfort and performance you get from athletic wear. The best of both worlds. Designed to look great and stay comfortable all day, no matter what you're doing. Doer are pioneers of blending technical innovation with everyday clothing. Simply put, Doer makes the world's most comfortable pants without having to sacrifice style. And you can check out Doer in store right here in Denver. It's at 2621 Laramie Street. Pick up a pair for yourself or as an amazing holiday gift. Mention my promo code LOCKEDONDenver in store to get 15% off your first order. Or check them out online at shopduer.com/LockedOn. Locked On Denver for 15% off. That's shopdoer.com/LockedOnDenver. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Also giving you all a shout out because you have all made Locked On the #1 sports podcast and network. So thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for listening every day. Free and streaming and firing off your Rockies hot takes here. Here are a couple of reactions here. Browns fan here. Good luck with this. By the way, we celebrate him leaving. Marco says, I love the move to an analytics guy, but not to someone who's been out of baseball for a decade. I think Dick Monfort knew Paul DePodesta's name, and Walker reached out to see if he was interested. He hasn't guided the Browns to much glory. Watson contract in about 40 games under 500, which sadly would be an improvement for the Rocks. Ugh. I know that was a not the most fun thing to type out there at the end there. Let's see. Is this Kai? I think is the name here. Thank you, guys. Best news I've heard all week. Hope the analytics vastly improve your game days like it did for the Browns. I mean, that's the thing. Like the initial reaction for the Rockies when some of the names were involved were, this is going to hit the Diamondbacks hard. This would be a loss for the Royals. This would be a loss for the Blue Jays. This would be these are guys in baseball that are respected, and that's just like I just can't believe that when you say you're going to open the door and you are going to hire from outside of the org. He's not worked with the Rockies. So I don't know. I can't remember exactly the connection there with Dan O'Dowd, but he's got that there. So technically this is an outside hire. But when you have people in your building, when you have people in Coors Field interested and ready to change things up and ready to help this franchise, and you balk at that, you scoff at that, you say, I'm not sure. Hey, Adam Ottavino, what are you up to, pal? Like, I don't think that this is this was a moment to build your next to build your legacy, to change everything about the Rockies. And instead, you got to spend time catching up, him getting caught up to the game. And you got to spend time yourself getting caught up in general. Because if DePodesta comes in here and just says, we're going to do how we did in Moneyball. I'm going to do the same stuff. Well, that's what everybody's doing. And everybody's been doing it better because they took what he's did and they were able to take it deeper, go to the next level, build off of that, and invest in that. He's not going to be able to just waltz right in here and be able to just lean on his Moneyball past and expect it to fix everything. So when you see people saying, "What did this guy do? We're so glad he's gone. He's going." Like how? Why should I sit here feeling any sort of optimism? Because I'm not lying here. I don't feel any better about the Rockies post move. I don't feel any more encouraged. I don't feel any more excited. I don't feel like a wave of innovation is coming to the Colorado Rockies. Because if you're just doing Moneyball, you're 10 years behind. All the other teams are doing Moneyball their own way because they've crafted it specifically for their own environments, with their own people, with their own unique things, with all the other variables. But now the Rockies can just sit there and say, no. Y'all love the movie. We got Jonah Hill. Bring him in. It's because Monfort's control is still too tight. He couldn't let go. He couldn't do it. It didn't matter. Because remember, we were supposed to hear from him. Remember, Mark Kisla talked to him in spring. We were supposed to hear from him in July. We were supposed to hear more. But instead, he can't let go. He cannot let go. He is too determined to turn things around and for there to be success his way. The Mumford way. Once it works out for him, then he can just brush it all off. It doesn't matter. Give me one more October and I'm good. Yeah, that's all I need because then I could squeeze all the juice out of that. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But again, I think this is a guy that isn't going to be able to shake up the team as much as he needs to. I don't think he's going to be able to do all the things that he wants to do. Because as this interview process panned out, as the process of the end of the season is panned out for the Rockies, it is abundantly clear that Dick Mumford has no interest in taking any sort of a backseat. He was probably heavily involved in the operation. He is heavily watching over Walker. And it's no surprise again that it's all within the family because it's got to be that way because Papa's got to be in charge. I don't want to just be bleak. I don't want to just sit here and be this big downer all the time. But my confidence, my faith in this team has been ripped to shreds over the last few years. What time? All right, let's take a break and let's go read. Let's just put a bow on this with some quotes and some insight into the hire from Thomas Harding. Just to let's see what the reports are. Let's get a little more information and let's put a bow on this Monday episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Gametime. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, it's frustrating. That's why when I need last-second tickets or really tickets at any time, I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee, and you'll always get 100% authentic tickets. Never had any issues with any of the tickets that I've bought on Gametime, folks. Delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. You can see all the amazing deals and maybe even check out NFL games like the Broncos for as low as $100. But hey, on Thursday game, bit of a stinker, I know. It makes it super simple. You can see the exact view from your seat before buying. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. Locked On Rockies here, bringing it to a close. Our reactions to the Rockies, bringing in Paul DePodesta as, I don't know why I keep fumbling that. But anyway, as the president of baseball operations here. Let's just read some quotes. This is from Thomas Harding's Rockies hire DePodesta of Moneyball fame to head operations. Then I'm going to jump over to another one here about not going to cut corners. I've always kept my eyes on baseball, and this is an incredible opportunity to help make an impact in the next chapter of the Rockies, DePodesta said. Building a consistent winner here is a shared goal and one that I am eager to embrace alongside Rockies leaders, staff, players, and fans. I am ready for the challenge and excited to get started immediately. The Rockies are working to be at the forefront in the use of advanced information, and that's where DePodesta comes in. Thomas, are they? Come on. Are they? Are they working to be at the forefront of analytics? I will believe that one when I see it and when I see more sizable. Hey, you can tell me about the training center and the lab in Arizona and all that stuff. They got a lot of, I would say they have a lot of work until they're even sniffing being middle of the pack when it comes to advanced information and analytics. During the early part of his career, he's one of the game's pioneers in analytics, chronicled Moneyball. Let's see here. Paul's previous work in Major League Baseball set the foundation for many aspects of the way the game is analyzed today, and we are thrilled for him to be a key figure in our club. Under his leadership, we will evolve the Colorado Rockies into what we know will be an exciting new era, Paul Rockies Executive Vice President Walker Momford said in the club's official press release. Hiring Paul is an essential first step to the evolution of our baseball department, and we're confident that he will not only maximize our current personnel, but will also bring in additional leaders from outside the organization to help lead us forward. That is the encouraging thing. Again, with this is him hopefully being able to bring his own piece, his own people in here. Because again, as much as I'm discrediting the move, I hope he is given the opportunity to do his job the way he wants to do it, and actually be able to follow his vision and execute his vision to hopefully lead to success for the Rockies. I hope the Rockies are going to actually allow him to do that. One of those things that we'll have to see here. Here's what Dick Momford said. Today is an exciting day for the Rockies organization as we welcome Paul as our new president of baseball operations. Rockies owner, chairman, and CEO Dick Momford said, Paul was the very first person we interviewed. You went back to the first person you interviewed. That was the impressive thing. You got all the other insight from the other stuff, and you went back to the first guy. Whatever. And throughout our conversations with him, Walker and I were both intrigued by his understanding of his game that he hasn't been involved in 10 years, his positive attitude, his process-based mindset, and his influence on the game. This is a special guy with a great vision and a great plan. He is a winner, has not proven that, and he is going to win in Colorado. DePodesta becomes the fifth head of – this is just more from Harding. DePodesta becomes the fifth head of the baseball operations department in Rockies history. Original GM Bob Gebhard. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, anyway. So that's some quotes there. And then here, Harding adding some other stuff here about not being the one to cut corners here. Let's see here. Here's more on the Dan O'Dowd connection. Former Rockies general manager Dan O'Dowd worked with DePodesta from the beginning when DePodesta entered Cleveland's organization as an intern and worked player development and advanced scouting jobs. DePodesta over the years credited O'Dowd for his mentorship and friendship. O'Dowd said he was not involved in the process that led to DePodesta's hiring by the Rockies, beyond being a friend and a sounding board. He is probably as smart an individual as I've come across in the game, intellectually at just a different level than most, certainly at a different level than me, O'Dowd said, but he never acted like he was the smartest person in the room. He could see things about players or about situations almost like a 50-year-old with experience, and he was doing that in his 20s. Let's see. You need to embrace, this is also from him. You need to embrace the elephant in the room. With Paul or whoever's running the team, you need to accept the reality of the situation, embrace it, and build a roster that reflects the challenges instead of trying to figure out how to work your way around the challenges. So that was an interesting stuff, and they go and point out doing things about the draft as well. So, I mean, again, I am encouraged that there are people that are talking about his qualities and the fact that he's a smart guy, and this is an analytics driven guy. There is opportunity here. There is possibility here. There could be something here. I just don't like the more that I've stewed on it. It just doesn't seem like this was the most innovative, groundbreaking rule that they or move that they could have made. They're trying to play it safe based on a name, trying to play it safe based on a reputation, and especially if you're sitting there and saying that this was your guy the whole after the first, the first person you interviewed, and you were so impressed the whole time that what this guy's vision for the Rockies was, just while keeping an eye on it, while being involved in a completely different sport for over a decade, that vision was better or more in line with what you want to do than guys that have helped turn teams around, helped turn teams into contenders, helped really make things, turn teams into to maximizing their strengths from the top down. I just can't have a ton of confidence in this. And now the work begins. The work starts. I mean, and I hope through the work I'm proven wrong. I want to be proven wrong in this situation. If I'm proven wrong, then that means the Rockies are winning. That means the Rockies are in a better spot. That means the Rockies are doing the right things and are unlocking and diving deep and using the numbers and using analytics, using the information to crack the code of pitching and offense and crack the code of Coors Field and the Colorado Rockies. But I think that there are red flags all over the place about this. And I think my hesitancy about anything confidence in the Colorado Rockies really makes me focus on those instead of the legacy, the resume. Because looking to a Cleveland Browns exec to fix the Rockies, that's not the answer I thought that was going to come in the wake of what the Rockies fan has experienced over the last 3 seasons and the last 7 seasons. Let me know your thoughts and let me know your reactions to the news there. Am I out of line? Am I crazy? Am I overreacting? Am I too negative? Let me know in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section. Let me know how you handled the news there. And folks, we will be back in action here throughout the week talking more Rockies baseball. We do got to talk about some good news this week. Hunter Goodman winning the Silver Slugger. So we're going to dive into that on the next episode of Locked On Rockies. But folks, thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB and Locked On MLB Game Night. And of course, if you need more Colorado Rockies if you need Colorado Rockies content, you're in the right spot. But if you need more Colorado sports coverage, Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.